Hello everyone, this is Tom, the Lone Wolf Prepper. It is March 22nd, 2025. I want to do a video this evening about what is your plans for after SHTf, when all the dust settles and people start coming together again and forming communities and stuff, and when civilization starts to get back on its feet again. What's your plans for after that? Now you may say, oh, that's kind of strange talking about something like that. Well, no, it's not, because society is going to build itself back up again. So it basically comes down to is, what do you got to offer society when it starts to work itself out again? Now, for that, you're going to, that money's not going to mean nothing. So you can have gold and silver, that's fine, but to offer to the community, you're going to have some sort of skill. Whether it be raising food, medical, education, proper education, okay, defense, okay, you're going to be able to have to offer something to a community before a community is going to have to accept you. Basically what it's going to come down to. So how are you preparing for that time? You can prepare to get through it. You should be learning a lot of skills to prepare to get through something that would be serious. Where it'd be society altering, you might say, where lots of people would die or whatever. But prepping to get through that is one thing. What's your plans for after? Now, you homesteaders in this situation, you guys are like, we got it made. It's not even going to affect us whatsoever. And more likely than not. And especially if you're good at raising animals, it's going to go back to the old way. The way these communities are, these small towns that I grew up in that had a meat locker. And when he needed meat, he had local farmers that would bring beef in and he'd slaughter it himself and for his product. A lot of the places are gone now. But that's the way it used to be. And that's the way it's going to be again, to feed the community. Okay, what do you got to offer? And they can say electricians and stuff, and I realize we're still going to have technology. It's not like after we lose the technology for a while, we still ain't going to have the brains to start it back up again. So I guess we'll still need our IT people and stuff. Will we ever really get computers? Not as long as we have electricity, we'll always have computers, okay? That's just the way it's going to be. But, so I guess we would need those type of skills on the other side. But I think it's going to be local. I don't think it's going to be, Canada supplying electricity to the United States. Let's just say that. Communities are going to have to pool all their resources. And, they're going to have to think of themselves before. It's sad to say, but not before their neighbor town or whoever the civilization next to them. There definitely is, the thought's going to go more locally instead of globally. But I'm just curious, what skills are you working on? Even as an old person, you're going to have a skill. Whether it be teaching the young children, giving them a proper education, stuff that if you're not that active, okay, you're going to have a skill. This is one thing about after SHTF. If you're dependent on any type of medical whatsoever and hospitals don't exist no more, well, it's going to be tough on you. It's going to be real tough on you. If we ever get into a really bad situation where we go to nuclear war, that'd be just... That's one of my biggest fears, is nuclear war. Okay, that's just... It wouldn't be good. It wasn't good when just Russia and the United States and some European countries had some nuclear weapons. Now we got a whole lot more out there. It wouldn't be a good situation. All right, now we got 3 superpowers. Us, China, and Russia. It just wouldn't be a good thing, But that'd take a long time for the dust to settle. But, you know, I pray that don't happen. But I'm a firm believer that, you know, World War II was a nuclear war. And if we have the weapons, we're going to use them before we don't become a country no more. So anyway, or we have to deal with Yellowstone exploding, or I heard there's a big volcano in Italy that could explode at any time. But anyway, you know, when all that dust settles, what can you offer society? You know, to say, I can help rebuild this. And that's one of your prepping plans. You got to prep for afterwards. Okay. And a lot of us preppers, we do have a lot of skills, but some of us just have a lot of food and water. All right. I'm just going to say it that way. At least they're prepping. But it's easy to go out and spend money. It's a little bit more work and effort to go out and learn a skill. So anyway, I know I'm working on my endurance. That video on my endurance was pretty good. Endurance through shift and stuff. You know, anything to make me stronger and smarter and more valuable. You know, I guess I'm a lone wolf, right? I'll be out in this until a handshake means something again. I'll be living next to this, something like this, with my dugout, and loving life. But eventually I would like to come back to society. Be able to play cards with somebody. You know, be able to talk to somebody. Just not in the environment we're in now. But anyway, there are lots of skills that the society is going to need. And the last thing we're going to need is, you know, what we've been dealing with the mental illness in this country and stuff. But anyway, and one thing I want to bring up during shift is your safety. These people during peacetime are attacking cars, okay, Teslas, because they don't like somebody. Now, when stuff gets crazy, these people that don't think alike, they don't like chanting the same thing in the street and stuff, they're gonna organize into some very bad groups. You know, I just think of the road and stuff. But anyway, you need to be prepared for that. You know, you're going to be dealing with people that are on medication that won't have their medication anymore. You know, that's why I'm a lone wolf. I'm getting out of Dodge. I mean, I'm not around a lot of people now, but I'm getting out of Dodge. Okay? So, this ain't as good as a bug out location as I had before, you know, but one sign of trouble, I'm gone. I'm not going to deal with the most dangerous animal in the world during shift, and that would be the human being. Anyway, that's going to be my next video. Anyway, just plan for after shift. What are your plans for after shift? So, because obviously during shift, it's going to be hard to you're going to be so occupied and busy that after shift, preparing for after shift is something you need to do too now. So anyway, isn't that beautiful scenery? God, I can't wait till I'm living in the dugout next to a stream like that with my horses, reading a good old Western by lantern light in my dugout. You know, that's my pursuit of happiness. Anyway, everybody have a great night. This is Lone Wolf Prepper. I'm out.